Despite what my content in the past year or so would lead you to believe, I love sketchbooks. Over the years, I've gotten a lot of questions about the various supplies I use, so why not make one big video showing everything I have, and also the space I use it in. And if you like this video, leave a quick like and comment telling me you'd like a part 2 showing my process for actually using these things in the sketchbooks. Obligatory disclaimer, all of these supplies I've been collecting for the better part of 8 years. So it's a lot. Like, a lot. Don't think you need to go and buy all of these things in one go in order to have a nice looking sketchbook spread, because I'll be the first to say it, you don't even need half of all of this to use a sketchbook. I just wanted to be sure I covered everything I use in this video so you all have a better understanding of how I use and decorate my sketchbooks. But that on its own isn't something you even need to do in a sketchbook. I like making my sketchbook spreads all nice and pretty and snazzy, but if you like yours as just a little brain dump with simple sketches, that is perfectly fine. This is just for the people who are curious about the stuff that I use, and you can also use a lot of this stuff outside of sketchbook work. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, I got 3 desks to show you. I will be going over all of them, so don't worry. I figured the best way to... Sir, I am filming. Alright, well, we're just gonna deal with that then. I figured the best way to go about this video would to be give you an overview of my desks, show you guys how I have them all set up, kind of what I use them for, and then after that I will go in depth of all of the supplies. So if you just want to stay here for a desk setup tour thing, you can. I gotta stop moving this camera around, I'm gonna make everyone vomit. First of all, my desks. I got this desk off of Amazon many years ago. It was very super cheap. I didn't need anything super fancy, just something that I could sit at and pack my orders. This was also from Amazon, I believe. This desk was from Office Depot. I got a very nice deal on it. I don't normally shop for furniture and everything at Office Depot because I feel like they can run a bit pricey, but I had a really great Black Friday deal on this and I needed a new desk because, hurricanes. This desk is actually pretty old at this point. This is a desk from FlexiSpot. I did not buy this desk. They very kindly sent it to me a number of years ago. This video is not sponsored, but I really, really love this desk and I absolutely can recommend it. Important part of the creative process right here. This is my packing desk. This is where I pack my Patreon packages. I have a monthly reward thing every single month that I send out. I'm also planning on working on my shop more. I do have some acrylic charms and stuff on my shop, but in this coming year, I'm planning on actually updating my shop more. We got Mimikyu, gym badges, Bob Ross, dinosaur, Snubble, because it looks like my dog, circle bottle I never use, a little Eevee, and then this, my mom got me this when I hit 100,000 subscribers. It was very sweet. Just some decorative stuff. This is a Cricut machine, which at this point I haven't actually had the opportunity to use because I just got it for the holidays, but I am very much looking forward to that because I hand cut out every single sticker that I print out for Patreon in my shop. So this is just some notebooks I use for taking notes on like longer form videos. I think my sister made me. It's very cute. This is a bunch of bullshit, I don't know. Printer, binder of old comic stuff, because I've been working on that story since 2018. Don't even worry about all that. Lights that I use for filming at my traditional art desk. Just a bunch of packing supplies, super boring and everything. Over here on this shelf, aside from my fairy tale shrine, I have my art books, and then this is stuff that I don't really use as often. That's back there is marker refills, and then a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. I have some Copic markers that I have duplicates of. There's some rubber bands, Sharpies, a bunch of stuff I don't use super often, and then this stuff I probably won't go over later, but this is more for making traditional art rather than sketchbooks, but I have like blank sketchbooks that I have yet to get to, a bunch of like cardstock, watercolor paper, you see some Bristol paper there, a bunch of that sort of stuff, and this is sort of the last of my packing supplies. This is a courtesy of Abby, POV, you live with cats. There's just some packing supplies in here, clear sheets for when I mail out the packages. In here there's like stuff for my shop, paper, all that stuff, and then I'm not gonna open that because that's personal info, but that's just where I keep info for taxes and everything. Now we get to the actual fun stuff that you actually care about. I have this little shelf thing. I don't actually know where you would get this because my mom got this from one of those like blind box bag things of like return packages that people didn't want or whatever. I keep a lot of my things in jars, so we have like an empty jar that has like scissors, a bunch of stuff in it, bisexual flag, because being bisexual is very important to my creative process. We got, oh, I just stabbed myself with the X-Acto knife, dear lord. Some paper clips. This is where I keep like stickers and everything, more paper clips. These things, I honestly don't even know why I have these, but it'd be like that, I guess. I have my colored pencils, pencil sharpener, stapler, tape, glue. This is staple refills. Some acrylic markers, little swatch set. This desk is where I do a lot of my traditional art. This is where I sit at to fill out my sketchbooks. This is where I don't really make a whole lot of traditional art anymore. I'm looking to make more of it in 2025, so if you really love my traditional art and my marker stuff, good news for you. There we are. Good news for you. This is a mug that I have. I don't really use it for coffee anymore, but I just have like spare pens, highlighters. These are things that actually used to be in my pencil case, but I recently cleaned it out, but I still like them, so I kept them here. Some washi tape and some washi tape. These are actually curtain rods that I mounted on my wall with these like little hook screw things. I will go over more in detail of all of this later. My menu washi tapes, Rubik's Cube, my favorite go-to fidget toy, just a little journal, my planner, nothing super exciting. There's actually a light on here, which this is the main reason that I really liked this desk. If we plug it in over here, haha, there's like a little thing right over there in that corner where I can like change the colors and everything. A lot of it is like, this is technically a gamer desk, so a lot of it is like neon reds, blues, greens, all of that stuff, but I really like this one because it's the most neutral, and so I usually have this on, or I use that little lamp over there, which I'll get to in a second. Do we have another visitor? Oh, we sure do. Actually, another new addition to my desk, a little desk lamp thing. These plants are very old. They are not real, but if you have been on my channel for a very long time, then you will have seen them. Oh my god, I forgot I had crayons. Oh my god, and charcoal. I'm so smart, I know what I have. Here I have a little mini stapler. I'm sorry, but the lighting is really trash. Wait, can't believe I just went over how I have a light over here, and then I was like, sorry, the lighting is really shitty over here. There's no possible way to change it. I have a hole punch. These are acrylic charms from, I don't know what their name is on most things. I will put it on screen now, but I know on Tumblr their name is Acnologia's ass. Perfect. Excuse you, ma'am. When have you ever been allowed on the desk? I have some tweezers I use sometimes when I'm doing sketchbook stuff. That's very helpful to have. A little Sylveon that my sister gave me. These are little magnets that kind of came with the desk. I don't really know. They're just kind of here. They serve no purpose. This is a little folding chair phone stand, so if I'm ever drawing and I need some references or something, I like to put my phone on here. This is my pencil case. I will go over this more later. My sketchbook, again, I will go over this more later. Some little clippies and some rubber bands that I use to keep my sketchbook open. This is a swatch sheet for my Copic markers, and back here are my Ohu markers. Nice. And then here I have some of my markers. This is where I keep my Copics in this old ass thing that I've had for forever. Oh, and another old ass thing that I've had for forever. I think these are literally both from like Target or something many years ago. Got some Micron liners, some Copic liners, some Winsor & Newton markers, brush pens, a bunch of stuff. And then a bunch of mechanical pencil refills. These are some marker refills that I need to buy, and I just wrote them down so I don't forget. I'll go over these a little bit more later, but this is just a bunch of really small paper scraps. I have my little pet bed, the animal's little pet bed. I don't sleep here, I promise. These are just some paint palettes, scrap papers that I use for like swatching and putting behind my paper so it doesn't bleed, a bunch of that stuff. Those are my Ohus, these are my Sanjokis, some extra Tombow brush pens. I don't really know what to do. This is the phone that I normally use for filming, but I don't know, I'm using my actual phone today. That's just an old one with nothing on it. This I actually haven't had the chance to use yet. It's for like paintbrushes. I'll go over that more later. This is like a paintbrush cleaner thing. It's a little box for my acrylic paints. Back here I have some washi tapes, rags for when I'm painting, and then some miscellaneous notebooks and junk over there. Down here is a little paper cutter and then some mats. This is the plug for the desk. This is the sketchbook that I plan on using once I finish my next one. This is just some random paper scraps or whatever, a refill for one of my little notebooks that was over there. Back there is a tablet. I don't think I want to say the name of the brand because they're kind of doing some weird AI things right now. Y'all already know. But a little tablet, I don't really use it, but I just kind of keep it there. Drawing my dog that a friend gave me. Just a cup of change. This is a cup of hair ties. This is like Pokemon card thing, but I use it to hold old like ink cartridges. My camera that I actually use for filming, but it's just a lot easier for me to use my phone for this because I don't have a microphone to attach to there and I don't want to hold the microphone this whole time. Little dinosaur, candles I always forget I can light. Spray bottle. Down here is a bunch of paper scraps and post-it notes. I will go over this more in detail later. It looks like a mess, but I promise it is a little, it's organized in a way that makes sense to me. And then some more paper. This is more like scrapbooking paper, and then some construction paper. Trash. This is one of those things that you can mount on the wall, but I don't really have a good place to put it. Can't really put it here because then that will kind of block the way to this. Abby, stop eating plastic. But this is where I keep scraps of paper that are less boring. They're like big pieces in there, just like plain white paper, graph paper, dotted paper, that sort of thing. These are paper bags for my cat. I probably won't go over my tablet later, but this is the tablet that I use. I used the box to make sort of a makeshift shelf thing. That's crooked. I know, nobody comment about it. More fairy tale charms. I love them dearly. I have paintbrushes, paintbrush cleaner. These are some little posable models. We have some gesso, we have a Ralsei, we have another noisy cat, a bunch of miscellaneous ballpoint pens, and just some paint mixers. Got some Mod Podge, Bob Ross head, more miscellaneous pens and pencils and a bunch of shenanigans. Got a bunch of Tombow brush pens. I love using these in my sketchbook. This is where I keep some watercolors. I have some, what are they, acrylic gouache, bunch of fidget toys, some Colorase colored pencils, these are some Koi watercolors, this is some Winsor & Newton gouache. Yeah, ignore that. And then I just have some empty Pokemon card boxes to help hold this little shelf up. This is my monitor, and that is my tablet. They are both mounted up here. That is my microphone. You are also in a very inconvenient spot, young lady. Exactly where I need to be standing, and look at you. Here is my artist's glove. This is a little like hotkey dial pad thing that came with my tablet. These are all programmed to a different keyboard shortcut, and I keep my left hand on this while I draw with my right hand. My tablet pen and tablet pen holder, switch, my little mug warmer, my mechanical keyboard. Over here is just a bunch of bullshit, really. Phoenix and Edgeworth. One of my cats broke his objection, so he's just kind of pointing. Bunch of Pokemon, little Lego mouse, Zorua, my favorite Pokemon. I want to get a Unova Zorua, and then they can hang. They can be friends. I have other Switch games, but I keep Pokemon here because it's important to me. Controller thing, controller charger, little Pokeball Switch stand charger thingy. Here we got a little Bob Ross. Here's where I keep miscellaneous cords and everything that I use pretty regularly. This is fun to look at. This is actually a little, like, just a bunch of dotted paper that I stapled together. I'm hesitant to call it a journal. I use it to track my webcomic progress. More journals. These are pens that I actually use for my webcomic thing. And here I have wrist braces, one for each hand, little earbud replacements, little Switch accessories. And then this thing is actually from Rock Deer, also not sponsored, but they sent this to me. But I really like it. You can like interchange all of these pieces. It's a very nice desk organizer. And under there we have some little guys and then some Switch games and cords. Not very interesting. All right, if you just wanted a desk tour, that's about it for you, but we'll move on to the actual supplies now. Bring the plants in. We're back. Made the return. So first up, I guess I will talk about the sketchbook that I have. My current sketchbook, which isn't technically a sketchbook. This is like a scrapbook thing or whatever. Gonna check off camera because there are some unholy stickers. Park Lane Papery Guest Book. Wouldn't really recommend it as a sketchbook unless your main priority of a sketchbook is having a very visually nice one. Then I guess I can recommend it, but if you're looking for a more functional sketchbook, probably not. It was plain black, and then I decorated it with a bunch of like stickers and washi tapes and all that. And then my very noisy pencil case. Oh no, a pin fell off. It's okay, we'll fix that. This pencil case is from Stationery Pal. You will find that a lot of the stuff that I have is from Stationery Pal. They did not sponsor this video. They don't know I'm really talking about them in this video, but they have worked with me in the past. I really, really like a lot of their stuff. I do have an affiliate link that will be in the description, so if you see anything in this video that you like that is from Stationery Pal, maybe give that a quick little check out. Maybe you can buy it, but it's a very I put a bunch of pins and stuff on it. Shadow Academy one. This was a Paramore one. I'm gonna have to put that back on. This is from a friend from forever ago. Some Game Grumps stuff. Magical Boy. These charms are actually mine. If you want to go and get these, they will be in the description box. This one, very limited run. Once these are gone, they are gone. There's like 9 of them left or something. And then these, I have a ton of them left, so you can go check that out. This is from a fruits basket zine, piece of shit friendship charm thing, and little green beans. And then more on the side, Phoenix, Edgeworth, Grookey, and some succulents. In the front little pocket here, I have these. These are from Stationery Pal. They're just these little memo post-it note things. I really like them for decorating my sketchbook. They had a nice visual flair. I have them in a few different colors because these are the color palettes that I feel like I work with most whenever I am working in my sketchbook. They fit very nicely in this like front pocket, which is hard to put stuff in because of all my pins, but I refuse to give up the aesthetic. And on the actual inside, I actually downsized my pencil case recently. Here we have my pencil from Stationery Pal, a monograph thing. I like it because it's 0.3 and I work very small and also have very thin lines whenever I like sketch and do line art, so that's very nice. Zebra Sarasa clip pens. I have them in a few different colors here. A gray, a dark like purplish red color, a red, and a yellow. I use these a lot for writing too because they're very nice to write with, but they are also nice to do sketches with. Here is an electrical eraser. Very, very handy tool if you do work small traditionally, and I do typically draw small traditionally. It's literally just like a bit of an eraser thing, and then mine's kind of old, so it does that, and then it helps to get in those really, really thin areas. I believe this is a Winsor & Newton kneaded eraser, but I honestly couldn't tell you the brand. You know how when you're drawing digitally and you have the sketch layer and then you lower the opacity to do the liner on top? Using a kneaded eraser like that basically has the same effect, and it's also nice if you don't have a light box. Pikachu pen from Stationery Pal. I don't think this one is in run anymore, but it's a very cute pen. I love Pokemon, as you can probably tell from everything else about this video. Abby, you're being a very noisy cat. And don't meow at me. You're being very noisy. I'm trying to film. Anything to say for yourself? Okay. But they do sell refills for these Energel pens. I think it's Pentel. This is a ruler that I like to keep in my pencil case because it actually like folds out like this into a bigger ruler. Some little scissors. Very nice, because I have some, like, you'll see in a minute, like, memo pads that aren't sticky notes, but I like to use them to decorate my sketchbook with. Just some plain erasers. They used to be one of them ripped off. Now I'm not wasteful, so I kept them. And then this is just a little swatch sheet that I made of all of the pens and everything, as well as some highlighters, and then I put some scrap sticker paper that I had on the back, and then laminated the front with some, like, single sheet laminate things that I got. Everything, I think, except this eraser is from Stationery Pal. And if we look on this side, all of these right here are some of my Ride and Die ballpoint pens. They are the big ultra round stick grip. If you want some of like the fancier colors like this purple or this pink or this green, you probably have to go online. But in terms of like black, blue, and red, you can literally just like go to most stores that carry stationery and get them. Super, super nice for sketching. I have used these for years, and I just have them in colors for whatever colors I want to use. These are some of my favorite pens also. Pilot Precise V5. There's also like V6 or something. They're essentially the same pen, basically. I only have these two colors in here because I don't reach for them that often anymore. These are like ballpoints, and they're very, very inky, and because they're very inky, they bleed through a lot of sketchbook pages. I absolutely love them for both writing and sketching, but because of how heavy the ink is, I don't really reach for them anymore because I do like to use both sides of my sketchbook spreads, but since I do really love them, have a couple of them here. These ones are also from Stationery Pal, the Muji pens, ballpoint pens, gel pens. I don't really know what they are, but I have them in a few different colors. Again, I like them because they are 0.5. They are very thin. Anything with a thin line width, I am all about. They operate a little bit more closely to these pens rather than the big ultra stick pens, but these ones are less juicy, so I can use them a lot more, and they will very likely not bleed through. These are some of the highlighters that I have. These are the Zebra mild liners. They're very nice for sketchbooking because they have like the one end that's more like a traditional highlighter and then the other end that is like a bullet nib. These aren't my main go-to highlighters, but they have some colors that I don't have in these ones, so I keep them in here. These are some of my favorite highlighters that I have ever owned. I don't really know what the brand is called, but I did get them from Stationery Pal, so I'll probably flash them on screen. But I really like them because they are not like traditional highlighters. papers. I don't know how well this camera's picking them up, but they are very like muted colors. So it's very nice if you don't want to go for like the super saturated ones. And I have a lot of the more saturated ones between these and some other supplies that I will go over later. So these are very nice for when I need some nice muted ones. Love these guys. And they're like a rectangle shape instead of like the circle. So they fit in here very nicely. I'm not going to take these out, but there's nothing under there. Trust me. Some more clips and everything. This one I bought from Stationery Pal. This one was just a freebie in their packaging, along with these other Kirby ones that you guys saw earlier. I mostly use the Kirby ones, and then I'll sometimes use this one, but because of how small it is, it's not always like thick enough to hold like the thickness of a sketchbook. This one I really like the look of, but sometimes it leaves like an indent in the page, which I'm not super crazy about. So that one's mostly just there to look nice. And then here we have some memo pads and post-it notes. Here we have a like graph paper one, we have like a bullet paper one, and then these are just plain white post-it notes. Mostly if I make a mistake and I want to cover it up. The plain white one is if I want the mistake to like hide out more, but if I'm looking for a little bit more visual flair, then I have these bullet paper and graph paper ones. You'll see later I have a lot more post-it notes and everything, but these are just the ones that I keep in here. I used to try and like leave the house and sketch a lot, and so these would be like my go-to sketchbooking supplies because I would go to like a coffee shop. I had this really nice one near my old house, but then I moved and now there's only this like really super Jesus-y one, and going to a super Jesus-y place in Southern America as a trans person, it's a little intimidating, so I've never been there and I probably never will go there. Next, I'll go over the types of papers that I use, and my god, do I have a lot. These are just some of them. Am I gonna have to zoom the camera out? Dear lord. I have way too many. Ignore that this is a less nice shot. These are scrapbooking papers. I got, I think, all of these from Michael's. Sometimes they have very nice sales. So some of them I think I legitimately got for like $5 when they do like clear out sales. But it's just like different patterned papers and everything. These are very nice if I just want to add a visual flair to my sketchbook. I have a bunch of different patterns of them. I have this like spacey one. I'm not going to sit here and flip through each individual page because we would be here forever, but I like to get some with a different vibe for like each one I buy, I guess, because I like to be prepared for whatever sketchbook spread I might want to make. However, I do have my preferences. I have really had to learn restraint when buying these throughout the years because sometimes there'll be like one page that I really like in them and then the rest of it is kind of like eh. And so I've had to sort of show restraint. I don't make sketchbooks super often anymore, but I do like to make them. In fact, the next sketchbook that I am planning on using, once I finish my current one, is a homemade sketchbook that I made out of an old book that I got from the flea market. But these are also nice for when I want to make a handmade sketchbook. It helps make them look a little bit more nice. I have some very old videos about making sketchbooks, but let me know if you guys want a newer one. I can show you different methods that I use. All of that fun stuff. I think this is like my least used one, but you know what, she's here and she's doing her best, I guess. These tend to be like a little bit on the pricier end for some people. They usually go for about $20, like $15 to $20 each, which I think for what it is a pretty good deal. But if you are going to buy it, you have to make sure that it is something that you are going to actually use, because I feel like that is a bit more pricey than what people would typically go for. So if you are not the type of person who likes to decorate your sketchbook pages and you use them more of just like a process dump or like an idea dump, then probably avoid these. But I just really like them. I like making my sketchbooks nice and pretty. Sometimes I will also use these for finished illustrations. I don't use them super often for finished illustrations, but it does happen sometimes. And then this one is just a bunch of like sky and water ones. I don't think I've ever used these ones, but my god, is it pretty. Next, I have this little bin. This is where I keep papers that are similar to the scrapbooking papers that I just showed you, but there's also just a bunch of stuff in here. You can see that this is literally like mailing stuff. I have some like colored scrap papers and everything, some bingo sheets. I don't know where they came from. This is also where I keep the larger scraps of the scrapbooking papers. You might recognize some of these patterns. This is legitimately like, this is a paper bag, this is tissue paper, more tissue paper. This is like a weekly planner that I didn't use for weekly planning, wrapping paper from various holidays. This is just if I find any like neat paper that I think would be cool for scrapbooking, I shove it in here. One of the methods that I use for making sketchbooks is to like find a book from like a flea market or a thrift store, and then you gut the pages, and I keep some of them. Makes a very nice like visual detail for when I am sketchbooking. I also have some mini versions of the scrapbooking things that I showed you earlier. I think this one is from Michael's, but these are legitimately from the dollar store. I think they're from Dollar Tree. And then since these ones are a lot smaller, I just keep them in here. And then I also have some stuff where I wanted to keep them just because I thought that they were neat, but probably won't use them for a sketchbook spread. Various postcards and whatnot that I just thought were neat. Room key for Hilton. Don't tell them. This is the backing for some sticker sets that I bought, but I thought that these themselves are very nice and could be of some use. Some little memo pads. This one's a little fucked, but you know, they're fine. They're just like a little memo. Are they stickies? No, they're just memo pads, but they have different mushrooms on them. This used to be in a little booklet, but as you can see, it is no longer a little booklet. It's basically just another, oh, stuff fell. It's fine. No, let's just open it. Let's go crazy. It's just another thing of like scrapbooking paper, but the more I used it, the more that the little booklet was falling apart, so I now just took everything out and I keep it together with some rubber bands. And then another one, but with like little flowers and everything. Front half and the back half are like the same flowers, but these ones are on like a toned paper, whereas these ones are just on plain white. This you saw earlier, and it's really nothing interesting, so I won't stay here too long, but these are scrap papers for more boring pieces of paper. Like I have some lined paper, I have some plain printer paper, dotted paper, and then in the back I have some colored paper, some more paper bags, just some not super interesting stuff. This used to be mounted on my wall, but I moved my desk around so it doesn't fit anywhere anymore. I just kind of keep it near the floor. But those are the papers where I mostly use them if I need to like cover up mistakes or page bleed throughs and I want to use the back of the page, things like that. And next I have some good old construction paper, literally from Family Dollar. These serve the same purpose as the plain pages, or if I just want to add a little bit of color to a page and I don't really have anything else that does the trick, it's just these. I just needed some plain colored paper, but I needed it for purposes other than like drawing on it, so I just figured some plain construction paper from Family Dollar would be fine. I think that's like Crayola brand or something. I will be going over all of my sticky notes and memo pads. You've probably seen before how sometimes an artist will make a mistake in their sketchbook because they are sketching with pen or something and they want to redraw it, so they put like a post-it note or a memo pad or something over it. That's what all of these do. This one is a gift from my mom. It looks like butter. I can't believe it's not butter. It's paper, actually. These aren't sticky notes. This is like a memo pad, but if we open it up, it's just like the plain classic post-it note yellow color. On a similar note, also a gift from my mom. It's a little toaster with little post-it note waffles in it. Haven't found a use for them yet, but my god, are they cute. These ones are the more plain ones, just regular post-it notes that you get from anywhere. I think these ones are also from the Dollar Tree, but I have some in some nice muted colors, some more traditional post-it note colors. Down here I have plain white, and then I have plain black. I really like these ones. I don't see black post-it notes because they're not something that the average person would find a use for, but as an artist and a creative person, very neat. I also have this one, which is from Stationery Pal. It's like post-it notes, but marble. Another post-it thing from Stationery Pal. Sorry for how much I say from Stationery Pal, but I figured you guys would want to know where it's from, and what can I say? I am a loyal bitch. So these ones are also post-its from Stationery Pal. They are like watercolor swatches. I have them in a few different colors. I thought that they were very neat. I use them mostly as like decorative elements, but I will sometimes use them to cover up mistakes. And then these were from Stationery Pal in their like little free / dollar store section. They have like a very cheap dollar store section, but also sometimes, I guess, to like clear out stock or whatever, they'll have some free things. But these are a little bit too small for me to cover up mistakes, but I mostly use them for decorating pages, but they could also be really nice if you need to label something or whatever. And then I have these. I haven't had the proper use for them yet, but I really, really want to use them because I think they're so neat. They're just memo pads, but various plaid patterns. I think they're very nice. I think it would be very cool if I were to draw like a skirt or something and then tape one of these down and then like cut out the shape of it. I think that'd be really fun. And then another scrapbooking thing, but super teeny tiny. Last up for the paper section, I have the Miscellaneous junk. I guess I'll start with this because it's the least interesting. More scrap papers that are like more plain, but they're in this little thing on my desk because they're super tiny. This is really great if I'm like, say, sketching a face and I need to cover that up. This is really nice. Instead of having to like waste a whole new scrap of thing, I can just cut off a tiny piece of what I need. Some of it is like sticker paper because I have like scraps for when I do my shop or my Patreon orders, and I just keep these in here sitting on my desk for easy reach. This is from Stationery Pal, just a little, I don't even really know what to call them, just small sheets of decorative paper. Definitely more for like the decorative elements. If you have like a sketchbook spread that has like an empty spot, you can just tape these in here, or you can like cut around and have like just the flower or whatever. Very, very fun, very pretty. There was more in here. There was like stickers and everything, but I took them out to put with my stickers. So then these are just the papers. These also from Stationery Pal, little just scrapbook paper, but like not in a book, I guess. I have used these in sketchbook spreads before, and there are also times where I have like sketches on loose sheets of paper that I want to tape in my sketchbook. Maybe like the page is bled through, or I just don't feel like drawing, but just you ever just get like that one page in your sketchbook where you're just like, no, I'm not feeling this. I don't want to draw on you. And so you just like tape in other stuff. These can be very nice for that. So then that way you like decorate the page underneath it. So it's not just like a plain white paper and then you tape your sketches on top of that. These ones are very like also floral. I like a lot of floral patterns. These are very cool. They are little scrapbook pages, but they look like little doily things. I had 2 sets of them, but I took one of them out and I just shoved them all in the same little packaging for easy storage. I think they're very neat. It's a very, very fun visual effect, whether you are like scrapbooking or sketchbook making or just sketchbooking. Probably use them in bullet journals. I just think they're very neat. I've never really seen them before. Can't really describe the texture of them. They're like not super papery, so they are purely like a decorational element. And lastly, I have these Ziploc baggy things. Whenever you get like a scrapbook paper pad, you will see these like pages where it's just full of things like this, like individual label things, and whenever I get them, I immediately cut them all out and put them in their own little Ziploc baggies, so then that way I just don't have to worry about it. But I just have these. I won't go over all of them. You get the vibes, just you get them. But oh my god, these are fun. Wanna know what these are? These are literally like paint swatches from like Home Depot. I literally went there one time and grabbed a bunch of them, and I still have them many years later. Next up is pens. I have a lot of them. These are my microns. I use these pretty often. I use these even more than like my Copic liners, just because I don't use a lot of plain black line art anymore, and I have a bunch of colors in these, and also these ones are 005. Again, I have very thin line art, so I typically go for these like thin colored ones. I do have a gray Copic liner in here also. This is the Uniball Signo Broad White Gel Pen. These are my favorite white gel pens. I know people really like the Jelly Roll pens, but those aren't juicy enough for me. I feel like they absorb a lot more of the colors that are underneath, which can be fine depending on what you're going for, but whenever I use a white gel pen, I like it to just be pure white, and I like this one a lot because it doesn't often absorb the color that's underneath, so long as you give it enough time to dry in between using it. These are more microns. I have some brush ones, I have some PN ones, and then I have some O1s. Whenever I do use black line art though, I typically go for my Copic multi-liners. They're a little bit higher quality, but ultimately the microns do work just fine, even with Copics, so don't think you have to get these. I'm just a little picky with my liners sometimes. These ones, the SP ones, have a like steel barrel or like a metal barrel or whatever, and these ones are refillable. These ones are not refillable, and they are disposable for when you are done using them. I have them in black, I have them in gray, and I have them in this sepia color. Whenever I'm not doing full-blown colored line art, I usually go for like a brown or a sepia because it's a lot softer. If I'm going for like something that's almost black but not quite black, I will use these ones because they are a much darker brown, and these ones are more red. This is more of like a sepia. Here I have some brush pens. I don't oh, you're not supposed to be here. Hello. I don't really use brush liners as much anymore. I used to love them. Now I mostly just use them for filling in big black areas in my sketchbook. Again, I don't use black a lot, period, but whenever I do and I have a big area I need to fill in, these come in quite handy, especially if I know I want to use another medium with it, like markers or something, because if I were to use the Tombow ones, since those are water-based markers, if I were to use watercolors or alcohol markers, those will bleed because they are water-based, but these are like ink made for like line art and stuff, so if I want to use something else, these are good ones. These are Pigma. This, I don't know what this is, but I got it from Michael's. Very nice, it's double-ended. These are actually Tombow, but these are like liners. I also have this Dr. P.H. Martin's Black Star Waterproof India ink. I really don't use this a lot. like ever. I have used it in the past and I did like it, but whenever I ink stuff, I usually just prefer to go with a liner. I have been meaning to use this to make an ink wash, which is basically just plain black ink, but watered down, so it looks similar to like gray watercolors, I guess, but instead of being watercolor paint, it's ink. And lastly, just a bunch of miscellaneous ballpoint slash gel pens. I have some like really cheapo Target brand markers in here. All of my go-to ballpoint pens and gel pens and everything, you already saw in my pencil case. There's a paintbrush that actually doesn't belong here, oops. So these are mostly if I just need a really specific color that is not in my pencil case. Whenever I get like a fun little novelty pen, I keep it in here. I don't really use them. It's mostly just for decorative purposes. Next up, I wanted to show you my washi tapes and stickers. I will probably put in some B-roll footage of the washi tapes I have on my wall right now because I can't exactly show them. Most of them I got from Michael's, some of them are from Stationery Pal, some of them are from the Dollar Tree, but I use them a lot both for sketchbooks and finished illustrations. Almost every single finished traditional illustration I have, I decorate with washi tape in some way. These and these, all from Stationery Pal. I just really wanted some like plain colored washi tape because I surprisingly didn't have any, despite buying a lot of washi tape since roughly age 16. Just some more plain colored washi tape, just white and black, because I, again, didn't have any. These are, I don't really know if I should call them washi tapes or stickers, but they are like little circles. This one is in blue, this one is in like grayscale. When I bought this, I meant to add it to my curtain rod of washi tapes, but I just haven't done that yet, so this will at some point be on my wall whenever I'm not freaking lazy about it. And then these ones are another weird area between washi tapes and stickers. The texture is much more like washi tape, but they are like little stamps. They come on like a full roll, but typically you like rip off one of them and you put them in. I use these a lot. You saw in my sketchbook, I use them to decorate the front of that. I use it in actual sketchbook spreads. I think they're very, very neat. These ones are like plants. These ones are flowers. I have some that's like coffee. I have some that's animal. I really love these. These are actually my newest addition to my stickers. I literally just bought these. They're just like little pearl things. They're super tiny, but since they are like a three-dimensional thing, I didn't want anything super big. These ones, I wish I could tell you where I got them from, but I unfortunately do not remember. Since the brand is here, you can probably find them online somewhere. But these are stickers that look like wax seals. They are very cool. The reason I don't remember where I got these from is because I actually bought them in person, but very cool. Really like them. And these things are also from Stationery Pal, just some plain squares, rectangles, circles, stuff like that. I use these in the same way that I'll use post-it notes to cover up a mistake, or I'll use like the smaller ones as like a decorative element or something. And these ones aren't stickers, so they probably should have been in the other area, but I keep them with my stickers just for just more deco paper, decorative paper, scrapbook paper, whatever you'd like to call it. And then I also keep the rest of my stickers in this little desk organizer thing. Again, don't really know what these are or why I have them, but I do have them. Stickers are a new addition to my sketchbooks. I never really used them before, but I'm using them a lot as of late. God, I wish I could tell you where I got these. I think I got them from Joann's, but don't quote me on that. They're just like little cacti. I organize them by what they are. And then some of these stickers came with some things that you've seen already. So like that pad of deco paper I just showed you had some stickers in it that I moved to here. I think it was this one actually. And I like to keep my, aside from that one little booklet, I like to keep my stickers and my papers separate. So I have my stickers here. These are ones where they were just stickers. I really love these ones. I really like stamps. I think they look cool. Some more like floral, stampy things. You're probably noticing a trend with my stationery. Paramore sticker. And then like some of these I'll probably never use in a sketchbook spread, but I do have them and I don't really know where to put them, so I stick them in here. If you buy a lot of Pokemon cards, you might recognize these. I got some from Fangamer. This is an artist. I don't remember her name offhand, but I will put her handle on screen now. Some more Paramore stickers. Some of these are mine from old Patreon months. I'll usually have like a test print to make sure that everything's not nice and then the actual print, and I usually keep the test prints for myself. Omori, Raycon, Paramore. These are mostly the stickers that I get from various places. These are from like old tablets. So really just I shove all my stickers in there. These are from Stationery Pal. These are from Stationery Pal. These from various Miscellaneous. I don't use too many colored pencils anymore, but they are supplies that I own, so I wanted to include them here. We'll start here, these in this olive jar. These are some Col-Erase colored pencils. Honestly, I don't think I would really recommend them for just plain sketching. They do erase, arguably, not very well. Some erase better than others, as you can imagine. The darker colors are harder to erase, and if you press harder on them, then they are much more difficult to erase. I would mostly recommend these if you are sketching and you plan on like coloring it with markers or watercolors. I would recommend these versus like just a lead pencil. Like if you were just gonna forego line art and go straight into coloring, I could recommend these for that, but not much else if I'm being honest. These I can definitely recommend for sketching. I would not recommend them for finished illustrations. They do not layer or blend very well, but if you are just wanting to add some color to your sketchbook, sketching with these can be very nice. They are just woodless colored pencils. And then Prismacolor, the GOAT. Of course, can recommend these for finished illustrations. That's what I mostly use them for. I don't really add them to my sketchbook spreads, but if I'm doing a finished illustration in my sketchbook, then I definitely will. This sharpener is the best pencil sharpener I have ever used. I don't know what it is or where it came from or like what brand or anything. I just know that I have it and I love it. Moving on to my many markers. These are Tombow brush markers, brush pens, however you like to call them. I use these a lot in my sketchbook. I use them for adding decorative elements, adding a bit of color to it. If I have like a sketch and I want to like color it or like partially color it, I will reach for these. They are very nice. They don't typically bleed through onto the next page. If you have thinner pages in your sketchbook, you might get some ghosting, but they very rarely bleed unless you like layer them super heavily. They are very inexpensive too, so over time I have collected all of the colors. This is the actual Tombow storage thing. Absolutely can recommend these. I use them all of the time. When it comes to finished traditional illustrations, longtime viewers of my channel already know I am a alcohol marker lover. And of course, Copics are the go-to. I know there are a lot of cheaper brands that people like, a lot of cheaper brands that I like, but Copics are popular for a reason. What do you want me to tell you? They're very good. I love them. Ink quality to nib quality to actual barrel quality, all amazing. I love them a lot. Depending on the sketchbook I'm using, I will not use them because they are like expensive. I don't like to use them in my cheaper sketchbooks. If I am using a sketchbook with like mixed media paper or something in it, then I will do finished illustrations with markers in them. So I haven't really used them in my current sketchbook because the paper is not like art paper. When it comes to marker brands that are not Copics, I think people talk about Ohu's a lot. I am so mad because when I bought these to review for a video forever ago, I wanted to buy all of the colors that were available, but at the time they did not have a set of all of their colors with brush tips, but then like a week or something after making that video, they released a set of all of their colors with the brush nibs. So you know, because they don't have brush nibs, they have bullet nib and chisel nib. I don't use these super often. I very rarely use them on their own because the way that I color with markers relies so heavily on feather blending with brush nibs. I don't use these super often on their own, but I do reach for them a lot if I need a color that I don't have in the other ones. My probably personal favorite of my cheaper marker alternatives is the Sanjoki markers. They have worked with me before, and honestly, even other than a great product, they're just really cool people over there. This is the case that they came in. I really like it because you can make a little like standing thing like this. They used to sit on my desk. Because of my new desk, they don't really fit on my desktop anymore, but very cool nonetheless. It came with like one of these page bleed through things. I also have one for a hoo that I just shoved in here. It came with like a paper pad that I have elsewhere. And here are the swatches. They do have a brush nib and a chisel nib, and sometimes with cheaper markers, the brush nib quality isn't the best, but these ones are honestly really nice. Since they are cheaper markers, the smell can be a little strong, but I have a very weak sense of smell, so it doesn't really bother me. But if you have a sensitive nose, be sure to keep that in mind if you're interested in buying them. The last of the alcohol markers I have are these Winsor & Newton ones, which I honestly don't really use. They are not my favorite markers that I use. They do have a brush nib, but the problem with these ones is that the brush nib is like a little too flexible and a little too soft, so they can be a little hard to control. I only have them in grayscale, and I found them super cheap at Ross for like $5 or something, so I just grabbed them. I intended on making a video about them, but I never did. They might be somebody's favorite marker, but they are not mine. Last up in my marker section are my acrylic markers. These are Poscas. I have them in a variety of sizes. I got them in the big chunky size. I have them in the medium size, and then I have them in the super small size. Acrylic markers are something that I have a lot of fun using every time I use them, and I love them, but for some reason I just don't gravitate towards them a lot. These are the markers that I do have, by the way. These are the colors that I have in Poscas. I also have Arctic's markers. If you watch my YouTube shorts, you probably recognize these from fairly recently. These are what the Arctic's markers looks like. Very nice markers, like them a lot. I really like the colors on them. I am not like an acrylic marker aficionado or anything, so I can't really tell the difference between these and Poscas, honestly, so these are definitely worth the grab. I would say, if anything, the ink needs to be like, you need to shake the markers a little bit more than you do with Poscas, but other than that, I really like them a lot. And I also have these Arctic markers. If you watch any art videos on YouTube at all, you have probably seen these. These are the paint markers with the brush nibs, and I really loved using them, and I have absolutely been meaning to use these for more finished illustrations. I just have not gotten around to it yet, but absolutely recommend these. The brush nibs on the acrylic markers, so game-changing. Paints. I don't paint a lot, but I have them. Again, I haven't been using these especially because my current sketchbook is not an art. It's not even a sketchbook, technically. And so whenever I have a sketchbook like that, I try to just stick to like ballpoint pens and stuff. So these really, if I were to use these in that sketchbook, any of these, it would not do them justice. These are my koi watercolors. Whenever, the rare occasion that I do use watercolors, these are my go-tos. These are my favorite watercolors. They are very nice. These sponges are very dirty in here. I cannot really tell you too much about them because I wouldn't call myself a watercolor person. I truly do not know enough about watercolors to be like, here's all of the exact specifications of these. I just know that I really like them and they work very nice. These are some Winsor & Newton watercolors. Whenever I used to go out and sketch in the real world, these are the ones that I would bring because they are very small, but I don't really do that anymore. These also worked very nice though. It came with a paintbrush that was in here, but I have since moved it with my other paintbrushes. Since I don't really go out anymore, it's just better suited for whenever I'm painting at home. These, I believe I got both of them from Michael's, and then this one was from Stationery Pal. This brush came with it. Very neat, just fans out like this. There's a palette back here, a sponge. If you are someone who likes to go out and paint and you're like on the go all the time, this can be a very good one to take with you. Out of all of the paints that I use acrylics the least. I use the Liquitex Basics. I don't know enough about acrylic paints to tell you all the things that there is to know about them, but if you're someone like me who very rarely paints, but suddenly you get the urge to paint, these get the job done just fine. And then I also have this Academy Payne's Gray because they didn't have Payne's Gray in this one when I wanted to shop for some Payne's Gray. So I got this, and then a big jug of white. White acrylic paint is very important. And my gouache. I have not at all mastered the use of gouache. It is a very hard medium for me to use, but I love the way that it looks. If you don't know what gouache is, it's essentially the love child between acrylic paints and watercolors. They have a very matte finish to them. They can function more like acrylic paints, but can also be watered down like watercolor paints. They can be transparent like watercolors, but they can also be very opaque like acrylics. But here I have Winsor & Newton gouache. These are definitely my favorites that I have used. I could not tell you what brand of gouache this is. I think I got them from Ross, but I bought just like a plain paint palette from Amazon and I put them all in here. Again, when I used to go out and sketch in the wilderness and also coffee shops, this is what I would use. And then here I got the Liquitex acrylic gouache. According to people who know more about gouache, this specific brand is less like acrylic gouache and more just like a matte acrylic paint. I could not tell you more about it. They work fine. I like them, but supposedly, allegedly, they don't work like how acrylic gouache is supposed to work, but this is the only acrylic gouache that I have used. Last up for paints is the tools that I use. This is anything from paintbrushes to palettes, all of that sort of thing. So I guess we will start with my palettes. These are, I could not tell you where I got these. These are the cheapest of cheap paint palettes. You have absolutely seen them before. They work just fine. They get the job done. They do stain, but it's fine. Literally whatever. They get the job done. These I will also sometimes use as palettes for acrylic paints. It's just like one of them really thick cardboard things that you get from like buying bed sheets and bed covers and all of that. I wouldn't typically recommend using them just as is. If you want to use one of these as a paint palette, definitely lay down a layer of like gesso or some really cheap acrylic paint that you don't care about. Maybe some Mod Podge might even work, because since it is cardboard, it's absorbent, and so it can absorb some of your paint. As you can see, I have used them quite a bit, so there is a layer of paint on them, so it's not really absorbent. These are some paint mixers, some palette mixers. Honestly, I really don't use them a lot. I just end up using my paint brushes all the time. Sue me, it's just, it is what it is. A syringe that I use, I do testosterone injections, and I had a needle that was fucked up, but the syringe itself was fine, so I ended up keeping it. These are my paint brushes. I really should organize these between like acrylic brushes and watercolor brushes, but alas, I do not. These ones over here are acrylic. These ones over here are watercolors. I don't really know the brands they're on here. Winsor & Newton, Select, Art Site, Princeton. Sometimes with these, I'll use them to like brush off eraser shavings so I don't smear any pencil. Here is some paintbrush cleaner, Speedball pink soap. Don't know if it's good or bad, I just bought what Michael's had. Here is a paintbrush cleaner. Basically, you would put the water and the soap and everything down here, and you go like whoosh, 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 whoosh. And then you would take them and you can put them like this, so then they dry and everything like drips down into there. This I also have not gotten the chance to use yet because it was a Christmas gift. You put your paintbrushes here, you open it, there's a lid, there's a palette. You can use this to store water, you can use this to clean your brushes. I do want to make a video at some point where I draw the same drawing in various mediums, so if that is something that you are interested in, let me know and I'll get the chance to use these. It is raining out. Love that Florida weather. Okay, my camera's dying anyway. I'll just finish this section and go. These are some washcloths, fiber, whatever the fucks. Use them to clean brushes while I paint. You can probably tell this is the acrylic one, and this is the watercolor one. And then here are washi tapes that I don't really have sometimes. I don't really have them. They're right here. These are washi tapes that I don't really use. You know how sometimes when you buy a set of washi tapes, there's like one in there that you don't super like? Like in here, I don't use ones that have like text on them a lot. I think a lot of them, oh god, a lot of the time they're like really cheesy and boring and not really my style. But I do use them as a form of like masking tape since they are washi tape. They don't always work super well, but I'm too cheap to buy any, so that's what I use. The camera angle looks a little different. No, it doesn't. But the last thing I want to go over is just some miscellaneous tools that I use. Regular old tape, nothing fancy for taping things in and out of my sketchbook. I got regular and I got double-sided stapler. I'm gonna be honest, I always reach for the mini one anyway, but I have this one because my mom gave it to me. Just some scissors. It depends on what I am cutting for what scissors I really gravitate towards. If I'm cutting something just small to tape in my sketchbook really quick, like to cover a small part of the face, then I'll use the ones in my pencil case because they're really little. But if I'm cutting a larger sheet of paper, I use these. Also from the dollar store. And then a ruler from the dollar store. I love the dollar store. And then an X-Acto knife that I actually stole from the art room when I was in high school. Ms. V, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I was very poor. But now I have it out of pure guilt. I can never get rid of it. Just a glue stick. It's a glue stick. Nothing else to really say about that. You'll never guess what I use it for. And then also some Mod Podge. If I just need to paste something in there real quick, I'll use glue or tape, depending on my mood, I guess. But this is really good if you need to sort of collage a lot of stuff together, and then also if you want to seal something, like have a finish on top of it. I also wanted to mention that I do have these. It's Bodycon and Bodychan. You've probably seen these a few years ago. They were very popular on the internet. Just like little posable dolls for drawing and stuff. I don't use them just to like draw as is, but I do use them if I, like, let's say I'm drawing some extreme perspective on a body and I need help getting the angle right. I can just like pose one of them a little bit like that just to have a reference on how things are generally foreshortened and everything. I wouldn't recommend these for actual anatomy studies because they are stylized. So if you're looking to improve your anatomy skills and posing skills, I would recommend looking at actual bodies of like photographs of actual real life people first and then using something like this. But I have a general pretty good grasp on anatomy, so these are just really good for sort of sussing out the more intricate details of the poses. And then they also come with these. They're just spare hands in different poses, different accessories, all of that stuff. I really truly don't use these, but you know, I have them nonetheless. And I have this paper cutter. Get this. for cutting paper. This is more if I need something with an exact edge that is a blade, and then it has this, which is like a scoring thing, which basically just makes a fold in it. I don't really use it ever, but I use the cutting one a lot. And then lastly, I have these mats. Don't know where they came from, don't know what brand they are, don't know where they're from. I use these if I am gluing something. I'll put this down, put the paper on it, and then just go crazy with the glue. As you can see, I also use it if I need to paint something or use markers or anything. I don't gotta worry about being all neat and messing up my desk. You have anything you want to say, Abby? Ah! Girl. Okay. I guess she did not have anything she wants to say. I want to give a quick thank you to all of my patrons for helping make this video possible, especially my tiers 3 and 4 members. Big shout out to Jules, Sammy Bear 127, Sugar Cookie 2, Nyoko Arts, Sade Rosado, It's Dorky Arts, Castle Roodle, Jamie, JDOs, Creatively Anxious, Dazzy Bones, Alauka 2, Jay Johnson, Vivi Brown, Bread, Fantastic Artist, Newly D, Joss, Blue Devil 4, Rin Rinny, Tina K, Oswin, Sammy the Boy Draws, Kenzie Blue, Flap, Kaden, Anime Fan 110, Yuinamon, Art Iconics, Damaged Coda, Pretty Witchy Leah Chi, Deanna Riano, Boo, Soap Boy Ray, The Snook Arts, Nishi Studios, Fog Scorpio, Max D. Wellington, Inverse Planet, Saki Saki, Zobi235, Cosmic Wolf 326, Gonzelli, Mediocre at Worst, Caleb Sanchez, Dinksalot, T, Next Door Sketch, Kathan, Small Bean Soda, June, Sayel, Maramaya, Kira, Eliezer, Avocado is my name, Alex Waring, and Google Doc. Thank you all so much for the extra support. It means a lot to me. And if you're interested in becoming a part of my Patreon, you can find the link in the description box below.